got no doubt you think you're a badass, but let me know how you think you match up against Adrian Carton D. Wiart. And yeah, that's a mouthful for me, but this ain't about my pronunciation skills. It's about you thinking you're a badass. Most of you are actually kind of wimpy. Good old Adrian served first in the English army at the end of the 19th century in the Second Boer War, then fighting again in the First World War, and then again once more in the Second World War. And throughout his esteemed military career, he was shot in the face, the head, stomach, ankle, lip, hip, and ear. And that ain't even the end of it. Because he was also blinded in his left eye, survived 2 plane crashes, tunneled out of a prisoner of war camp, and tore off his own damned injured fingers when a doctor declined to amputate him. Like I said, you really ain't a badass compared to real badasses. Anyway, old Adrian Carton de Wiart lived to the ripe old age of 83, dying in 1963 after amassing not only legendary status, but a shitload of medals to illustrate that status. If Anton Carton de Wiart ain't enough of a badass for you, I'll switch it up for you and tell you all about Grace O'Malley, a beautiful and fierce red-headed Irish woman who came to be one of Ireland's greatest warriors and clan leaders. Her story begins with the tale that as a young girl, she asked to accompany her father, a notorious pirate, on a raiding expedition, to which her father replied, "No, absolutely not," offering up the excuse that her long red flaming hair would make her a target. Her response is she cut off all her friggin' hair. That act should have been enough to tell any man not to fuck with her. But years later, her lover, a shipwrecked sailor, was murdered by Clan McMahon. That act didn't set too well with Grace O'Malley, and she attacked their castle and killed everyone involved with her shipwrecked lover's murder. Know that Grace lived during the time of the Irish Rebellion against the powers in England. And in 1854, her son was involved in a dispute with the brother of Sir Richard Bingham, who was England's governor of Ireland, who murdered Owen O'Malley, pissing off his mother, who started a rebellion. But she was caught and sentenced to hang until the tribal chiefs came together and surrendered some hostages in order to secure her release. And when her second son was caught, Grace O'Malley headed right straight to the source of authority herself, Queen Elizabeth, who granted her son's pardon. Now, I've only touched on some of the fascinating aspects of this woman's life, and I'll just say that there ain't too many men out there with the balls that this woman had. From Ireland, let's travel to the Antarctic and meet Leonid Rogozov, a doctor, the only doctor in a Russian research station. Now, the Antarctic is a windswept place of cold, ice, and an awful lot of snow. And it was on a windswept, icy cold day when Leonid Rogozov was stricken with a case of appendicitis. And a lot of y'all know what that feels like. Being the only doctor on the continent, and with an ongoing blizzard that prevented anyone else from flying in, Leonid had a decision to make: perform surgery on himself or just let his appendix burst, and, well, we all know what that outcome is. But for over 2 hours, with others holding mirrors, Leonid Rogozov removed his own damn appendix, sewed himself up, and lived to the ripe old age of 66, dying of lung cancer. For Grace O'Malley was an Irish pirate and a damn fine mother to boot. She was a different kind of pirate, but a badass nonetheless. As if you want to know who was the most successful of all the pirates in history, no one comes close to this formidable woman. Born in 1775, She married a pirate when she was 26, and she never looked back. When her pirate husband died a couple of years after their marriage, she married his adopted son and took over her husband's pirate fleet, a fleet of over 1,800 ships, a fleet she had helped her deceased husband build, a fleet with 80,000 men. Compared to Blackbeard, who only had 4 ships and a couple of hundred men, okay, well, there ain't no comparison. She also had her own pirate code, If a pirate was caught raping a prisoner, he was immediately beheaded. If a pirate took a captive as his wife, he had to be faithful to her, or he would be beheaded. Of course, the powers that be back in the day, the Portuguese Navy and the East India Company, did everything they could to vanquish a pirate queen, but they completely failed. Qing Shi eventually retired when the Chinese government offered her amnesty. An amnesty that included Qing Shi keeping all her damn money as well as amnesty for all her pirates. Badasses, all of them. And you ain't one of them. Historical badasses. Now, if you're a fan of mine, you know this is the second one I've done. And I'll probably do another one down the road too, maybe in a year or so, I don't know. But you know, our history, the global history of mankind, is just filled with interesting people. And not all of them are badasses, but they're interesting. And you know, I try, when I do these videos, I try to concentrate on people that are not prominent in history. You know, like Grace O'Malley. I've never heard of her before. I had heard of Qing Shi, but I didn't know much about her. So, yeah, you know, what can I say? What more is there to say? There's so much in history that we're just totally unaware of. And I got these new fucking dentures and they're slipping all over the fucking place, and I just hate it. Can't wait. I'm working toward getting permanent implants, and it's going to be a while down the road, but I'll get there. But this just does suck. Anyway, thanks for watching, my friends. I do got a friend here or there, right? Okay, I'm just diving into Never Never Land. I gotta do this shot. Oh, I think I just swallowed one of my lower denture. Love you. Take care, my friends.